Later, but not the idea of division. Just that because they are bad Muslims, you have to throw Islam overboard. Just because they are no Sufis,
But you said with the invasion, in a certain period of history, of the Mongols, all of the universities died out, except for the ones that just taught the Hadith, the Sunnah, and the legal jurisprudence. And that the great expansion of knowledge, the development of algebra, the flowering of Greek thought, all of these things that happened in the first 3 centuries of Islam were eliminated from the university system, and free thought and all the other things that are necessary for growth in a society were replaced by repeating things that were old. And they became just encrusted, and they never developed any farther than that.
Then he's arguing against his own argument.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, he turns himself around on himself at one point, and he never admits it, and never realizes it.
what would be different if you say this condition or conditional?
Both are equal.
They are the same.
Yeah. I looked up condition,
Yeah.
dictionary, and it says conditional.
Same. Yeah.
But I thought this would attract more attention.
Did you see the passage there I was referring to, that the authority of the, and then he gives a number
You
of...
just can't break away from the sunnah, you know. It's very difficult for them. But what do you think of this page here that you just read?
And he says here, look, about 200 years after the death of the Prophet, the compiler is rejected as untrustworthy 90%. Nobody believes it. So why did they save the 10%?
And even those who put the 10%, doubted the 10%, but they didn't want to tamper with it. Because they're compilers. No, this is the old story.
The same thing has happened in Christianity, where the word of the Pope has become equivalent to the word of the God.
They've forgotten the gospel. It's now become church doctrine. Church doctrine is more important than the teachings of Christ. But one thing is good that in Islam, because we have no organized clergy, you know, you can always keep on doubting the Hadith and so on.
Did you want to read that? Or?
Well, I don't really have time right now either, but I'd like to get it later, maybe after this, later in the semester, the end of the semester or something. Sure.
I have to look at it because I have. Maybe I'll never be able to get approved by the department, but I would like to. I have to, you know, in the next 4 years, I think about writing a master's thesis for engineering. Well, I haven't come up with a topic. I'm only starting in the program, first semester actually. And it would be nice to include a numerical analysis of the Quran, showing that the probabilities that a book could be produced like this would be beyond human capacity, and establishing some basis for making your decision.
Thank you, Amma.
Well, he's got-
All of the decision-making process in engineering is grounded on probability. Nothing has absolute certainty. If you're going to make a decision, I mean, the first thing you study is statistics and probability. That's the first thing you study. It becomes
But all predictions are based on probability. It's a matter of how much probability. Only, of course, facts are 100% probable. But that's because they've occurred, right? But all predictions are based on probability.
What I'm talking about is a decision-making process, or an attitude towards a decision-making process.
Oh, I thought you were talking about predictions.
Yeah, okay, well, this is not, but I'm beyond that, okay? Most of these people do not seem to have in their own, you know, any direction to their own. You know, I mean, you have to make, I mean, if you talk about engineering, you have to talk about what is your basis for doing some kind of a system. Is it going to be what normally is considered to be in the society? Is it cost effective? Does it make money? That's the normal way, regardless of what it does for human beings. could you develop a real Islamic technology where the decision-making process and whether to go with this design or not would be in accordance with the principles of the Quran?
Yeah.
And maybe there are as yet undiscovered
When you put this plan,
numerical relationships in the Quran that
And this opinion is what's going on here.
just I was suggesting, when you do something good for society, from the humanistic point of view, that is an end in itself. But from the Quranic point of view, you do good for society because Allah has said so and He has put the criteria. Therefore,
Exactly. Yeah.
in Islam, it's a duty to help to bring about a good society and a progressive society. Because that's what the Quran says. But the modern man,
the mentality now is if you make profit, then that's by axiomatically it is good. It's what in philosophy we call utilitarian ethics, or pragmatic ethics. In the highly industrialized society, what makes money is equivalent to what is good. Whether it's good for the greatest number or not is something else.
And he's making a statement here.
He makes a lot of.
He says Islamic democracy being idealistic and absolute value-oriented, the inner directedness of its political and technical elites generates a fifth type of attitudinal response. He uses Ibn Khaldun for.
Yeah, he relies a lot
Yeah.
on Ibn Khaldun.
The elites are required to look upon power and authority as a trust. They are motivated to an inner compulsion to anticipate and gratify as far as
I
possible
eat very slow.
the latent, diffuse, and effective needs
What do you think of that?
of the people before these become
That's
political
that, I
demands.
don't know whether.
He's
Is that
quoting
replicable?
somebody. No, that's 80.
It's a very good example. Alaikum salam. As if, I mean, God has nothing against the Prophet, but He's telling us don't follow his behavior. That rules out Sunnah right there.
I was just telling him about an incident my wife related to me about the Quran class at the MSA, where someone was saying about the Hadith. Now apparently this guy has actually modified his position. The Hadith are not divine revelation like the Quran. He has backed up. Only they're divine revelation in the sense that, well, they were the Prophet's life is grounded in the Quran, so therefore. But someone was saying, well, when I don't understand the Quran, then I go to the Hadith for interpretation.
Yeah.
And my wife said, why do you go to the Hadith? Why don't you go to God? God is the only one who is going to guide you.
That's it. Yeah. Good. Very good point. That's exactly the point.
I thought that was a good thing for them to say. They will, you look at one book and you don't understand it, so you look at another book.
Yeah. Which is more complicated actually. It's a lot more difficult. Books of hadith were written by people with different dialects, different nationalities. So this is
Complex,
very, very difficult.
and they had complex minds too.
Well,
people who wrote
local,
them.
local dialects.
But we're reducing it all down to the English language, so in one sense that's not a problem. But the question of
Yeah, but how do you bring it to English? You don't understand the original text. But
How nice this
it's very
one.
difficult. Very,
How nice this, the pig,
yes.
Batik.
the pig.
What about
Yeah, I knew that, but it was the word. He's quoting a lot of, these are all lists of quotes from the Quran.
no, he doesn't put a lot of them.
This is where he's making a statement about.
Take a watermelon and
It's probably worth reading. It's
No, I
actually
think
very well
I
researched.
think some of the points he makes are quite valid.
I mean, because if you can recognize where he contradicts himself, then
I
you know
think some
where
of the
he
points
supports
he makes are quite valid, and I think what he's trying to do is really present an Islamic basis for system engineering. I'm not saying the book is totally
One
Well,
more
I think,
question
if
on-
you have
on
an
the
Islamic
contrary.
basis, anybody that has an Islamic
Yeah,
basis in
two
their own
quotes,
life,
one
whatever
quote.
they do is
I
going,
see.
you know,
You know what I
they're
mean?
free to do whatever makes good
Typing.
sense once
Yeah,
they're
you're right.
grounded.
I don't have such bad eyesight, but sometimes
You know-
I can see.
Yeah.
I can see things.
Yeah, very
Well,
good.
the engineer's making, you
Mine
know,
not.
if he's got Islamic basis for himself, he's going to make decisions from that basis. He doesn't have
I went
to
to
look to the system
and they would take
to
the
judge the problem directly.
watermelon seeds.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but the system's approach in general
We're
is
gonna
an
celebrate
approach which
4
tries to
birthdays
get more
this
and more
weekend.
integrative unity
Tonight?
in the thinking process.
Yeah.
That's to say, you know, what I'm trying to say is
This
the
is
chair is
enough,
part
yeah?
of the room is part of the house is part of the community is part
No,
of the
no,
room.
don't feel like
That kind of a
No,
mentality.
but I was anyway.
And if you really look at Islam, it's a very system-oriented approach to
Yeah,
life.
but I mean, you could
It
have.
tries to unify everything because God is unity.
Watermelon seeds.
Okay? It's based on the principle
But
of
you know, a system can be made of objects that are simply there, but are they
And this boy
required?
had kidney problem. They went and got
That's
some
another
watermelon
level
and
of
fed
it.
him.
You know, Islam. I mean, to me, basically, the whole scientific thing is,
Doctors don't know anything.
if you don't follow this rule, you know, which is set down in the laws of nature anyway.
Really, it's amazing. Most doctors don't know
If you try to defy the law of gravity in order to make a plane
It's
fly,
better to stay away.
you have to work with it, not deny it.
Yeah, but it's not so evident in the realm of ethics and values. Because most engineering decision making, when you talk about utilitarian, is it useful, is it cost effective?
Or in here, they're actually made on political choices. And,
Yeah, but I mean, this book is trying to put it in a more Islamic line. I'm talking about the reality of life in 1982 in America. If it makes money for a big company, then it's good, regardless of whatever else it may be.
But if in the long run it goes against the good of society, then it's against the good of the big company
The
too.
doctor didn't get it in a brochure
Yeah,
from a
but
pharmaceutical
unfortunately,
company.
these people are very short-sighted.
Recommended.
If they weren't so short-sighted, they would have a much more respect for the
He might
environment.
lose some money.
There would be much more go slow attitude on development of nuclear energy, which we don't fully understand, all right? And there would be much less of an attempt to instill. What I object to in the American culture, what I find vulgar, is the instilling through television and the media of the consumer mentality, in which a person from the day he watches television until the day he dies, he is encouraged to buy something, whether you need it or not, whether it has any value in life or not. Consume and produce, consume and produce, consume and produce. This mentality, it's a super hyper materialism, which we've never known in the world before this day, where the mass of people, the great mass of people are now able to consume at a level that is never possible in the past. I find it very vulgar myself. The only alternative seems to be escaping to the third world, to some place where it isn't.
Okay, we'll see you this evening, inshallah.
I unfortunately have to work, so we will miss you, but another 2 months, this schedule will be over.
Remember, work is a form of worship.
But if you want to borrow this, let me know. I have it.
All right. I have to see what my, I've
I
got a
don't have to
whole.
go to the university or...
Well, I'm taking 3 units, but yeah, I can sign it out too. Well, I mean, I could take it back and get it out under my name too, but it'd be the same amount of time. But I don't.
But
know
I
if
want to
have
take a
time.
look at it. I want to read it.
Yeah. Well, I think you should. I'd like to read it, but I don't think I have time right now.
Busy with mathematics right now.
But they're all over again. They're now starting all over again. And the first number where we stopped was the light is fit, yeah, that's right. But before we get to this, we really have to thank God for enlightening us through being Makhoul, because there was actually a tremendous parallelism that we studied, we discovered last week between Al-Fatiha and Al-Baqarah, between the Surah number 1 and Surah number 2. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Now, when you read towards the end of Al-Fatiha, you say, Sirat al-Ladina an'amta alayhim, the path of those whom you blessed, غير المغضوب عليهم, not those who deserve wrath, ولا الضالين, nor the strayers. And then we come to Surah number 2 and we find the three kinds of people. First, the righteous, الذين أنعمت عليهم. This is the righteous. And then the disbelievers, this is غير المغضوب عليهم, the ones that incur or deserve wrath. ولا الضالين is the third group, the hypocrites. So now when we think of, I've been thinking about it the whole week, and some of the people came to me and said that now they have a whole new perspective when they're reading Al-Fatiha. Fatima was one of them. Because when you're reading in Sirat al-Nabiyyin An'amta alayhim, you think of the righteous and all their definitions in Surah number 2. And then when you say غير المغضوب عليهم, you're thinking of the people, the disbelievers, who deserve wrath. ولا الضالين, the last word in Al-Fatiha, when you read it, then you think of the last third group as detailed in Surah number 2, which is the hypocrites. Now when you think about it, الذين أنعمت عليهم, those whom you bless are the righteous. This is easy. غير المغضوب عليهم, those who deserve wrath are the disbelievers. You have only two verses describing them in Surah number 2, as you see. ولا الضالين. Now, ولا الضالين, who are الضالين? The strayers. The strayers means somebody who started on the path and then got lost his way. He strayed off. So these are the hypocrites. Because the hypocrites, they come to Quran and they come to Islam, and then somehow they deviate. So we're praying to God not to make us among those. And it is an incredible observation that Din Maful made last week, in that it uses the same word, that the hypocrites are the ones who chose the straying, using the same word as we say in Al-Fatiha, instead of the guidance. So the Arabic words are quite parallel. So now when you read Al-Fatiha, you have a whole new perspective, and you can see the connection, even though between Al-Fatiha and Al-Baqarah were 13 years and how many miles between Mecca and Medina, do you remember? Was it 200? 300 miles? Something like that. Between the first surah and the second surah are 13 years and 200 miles. But you see the connection that is absolutely very watertight.
But it only proves that the whole thing was conceived as one.
Exactly.
That's I think one of the miracles.
It proves that the Quran was actually written down before the creation of the heavens and the earth.
The unit.
But it was revealed on occasions. Like when the Prophet turned away and frowned from the blind, poor person. Now this was written before Muhammad was ever born. But it was revealed immediately after he did that. It was released right after that. The description of the Battle of Badr, it was written before the earth was created, but it was revealed immediately after the Battle of Badr. And so forth. So the revelation of Quran over a period of 23 was scattered. And the verses and the surahs were separated in time and place. But the whole Quran, like Din Mahmoud said now, was written down before the creation of the heavens and the earth. So, yes.
I don't want to take our time, but can I elaborate on what you said, Ustad? I made some notes there because I cannot depend anymore on my memory. I'm getting old. What I'm going to say is just something to think about. I'm not pushing it because I'm not very sure of it myself. But I think if Allah desires, we don't go unnecessarily into error. I would like to point to verse 6 of Surah 1. And in Arabic it is اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. just like you've been thinking about this for 1 week, I've been thinking about for 1 week. Is this word mustaqim? All the translations I've seen are either straight road or right. They mean the same actually. And that's one thing that's very good in English. When you say he's on the right path, he's on the correct path, he's on the straight path. Now, I think ordinary Arabic also, if I remember right, my father, they use the same word. Oh, it's the right path, the straight path, the correct path, or the path that you ought to go, or the true path, so on. Now, I was studying the root. The root, and here's where you'll have to help us start. The root of mustaqim. And I found out that there are 2 letters, T, Ta, and Qaf. So what entered my mind immediately, although this is where I'm not sure that I'm correct, is T and Q is also found in taqwa, which is righteousness. So I said, well, consult the dictionary. So I went to the arrangement of taqwa. Taqwa, there are many versions. Talks of taqwa as righteousness, and this is the most normal translation, so on, so on. But I never found the word mustaqim under the heading of taqwa. So I say these are ordinary dictionaries. I'll go to a Quranic dictionary by Penrith. The same thing. Under taqwa, which is righteous, you do not find the word mustaqim as one of the verbs. So I went to straight, or the verb qawama, or qama. And very interesting, where the word qiyamah, you know, also the day of qiyamah is the day of resurrection, because that's the day when you will
Stand up.
stand up. Also when you say takbir, that's qiyamah. And also, and so on. Qiyamah really also means the straight path. And this dictionary says, but this is what he says, the man, the Quranic dictionary. He says, mustaqim is based on the root qawama, means to stand up. But he says, in the form it means righteous. So I was thinking that in the development of it seems that these roots in original Arabic meant the same. T and Q meant straight, righteousness and so on. But as Arabic became more and more literary, then it acquired a new meaning. And so maybe a guide to us is always try to go to the root. Now if this dictionary is correct, if he puts mustaqim under straight and so on, number 6 can be read as follows. It's just supporting the division that we have. We're asking Allah, guide us in the path of the righteous. I'm supporting our, like a lawyer now.
The path of righteousness.
Yes, or on the, yes, guide us on the path of righteousness, the path of those whom you bless, not those of the hypocrites, nor, excuse me, not that of the disbelievers, nor of the hypocrites, which, as you say now, is the deep, let me go deeper into the understanding song. However, there is something that has bothered me, but I think in my own modest way, I would like to share it with you. Looking at the versions of, which is very good, this one of this Manar, the Tafsir of Manar of the Egyptians, Ibn Zamakhshari, they all seem to be a little bit hesitant in making a difference between those who deserve wrath and despair. A lot of the discussions has gone on the difference between these, but none of them has hit what we have been able to get. None of them, as far as I know. Maybe you know.
No, this
None of them.
This is very new.
Zamakhshari, Baidawi, Ibn al-Athir, and Manar, which is only the last century. None of them said that the answer is on the next page. But they give us a lot of distinction between those who deserve wrath and those who are astray. I think the confusion or the inability is that we must not look at the hypocrites and the kuffar, disbeliever, as completely separate. If we think that there are two different groups, we will not be able to understand the Quran. Now, be patient with me, please. Let us go to chapter 2, verse 8. These are the hypocrites. But look what Allah says. The hypocrites, then there are those who say, we believe in God and the last day, while they are not believers. These are the hypocrites. Therefore, the hypocrites are also disbelievers. See, what
The disbelievers who say that we are believe.
yeah. Then let us go to 19. Verse 19, after talking of the disbelievers and the hypocrites, Allah says, after summarizing their characteristics, He encompasses the disbelievers. From this, and I don't want to take so much of your time, arrive at the conclusion that all hypocrites are disbelievers, but not all disbelievers are necessarily hypocrites. Because there are some people who say immediately, I do not believe, and they mean it. And so, to use the language of mathematics, the hypocrites form a subset of the unbelievers. If this interpretation is correct, dear brothers and sisters, then let us go to 7 and 8 of Baqarah again. Surah 7, Allah seals their hearts. These are the disbelievers, their hearing, places veils upon their hearts. They have deserved terrible retribution. Now 8. Then there are those who say, this must now be interpreted between brackets. Then there are those among the believers who say, these are the, yeah. Yes, among the disbelievers, there are those who say, so and so. These are the hypocrites. If you will accept this interpretation, the rest of the chapter becomes very clear. Why Allah says that these hypocrites really don't believe, and other time He just talks of disbelievers, so on. So I'll put it this way. All hypocrites are disbelievers, but not all disbelievers are necessarily hypocrites. And therefore, Allah is angry also at the Israel. And as you mentioned, Ustad, you cannot be astray from a path unless you were there from the very beginning. And that's why they have to be in the lowest or hottest part of hell. Double jeopardy.
Because they saw the straight path and
There is no excuse. They are those who are really ungrateful.